Algebra 1, Chapter 8 Review, Part 1. Example number 1. You will need to simplify an expression and write your answer as a power. Okay, let's say we have 5 to the third times 5 to the 8th. First thing you're going to check for is to make sure that your bases are the same. So, in my expression, we have two bases that are 5. If your bases are the same, then you are going to add your exponents. We keep the base of 5. 8 plus 3 is 11. Simplified, 5 to the third times 5 to the 8th is equal to 5 to the 11th power. Example 2. You're going to continue to simplify and write your answer in power form. Let's say we have x to the 4th raised to the 3rd. This is a power to power. So we are going to multiply the two exponents. Simplify, your answer would be x to the 12th. Okay, next example that you will have to simplify and leave in power form would be 2 times x to the 3rd times 3 times x to the 4th squared. Okay. Order of operations tells us that we are going to take care of exponents first and the parentheses. Remember, the exponent to the 3 is 1. So if you look closely, what you have here is a power to power, so we are going to go ahead and multiply those. So this becomes 3 squared times x to the 8th. 3 squared is simplified to 9, and then we would just attach the x to the 8th. Bring down the rest of your expression, which is 2x cubed. Now let's go ahead and simplify the expression further. First thing, multiply the 2 and the 9. That gives you 18. Second, look at your variable x's. We see that they both have the same base. Properties of exponents tell us when we have two bases that are the same, we're going to go ahead and add the exponents. So we would get 18 times x to the 11th. This is your simplified answer left in power form. Alright, let's continue. Next example. We want to evaluate an expression when we have a given value for variables. So let's say they tell us that a has the value of 1 and b has the value of 2. Let's go ahead and evaluate. Remember, evaluate means to solve. Okay, so let's say we have a cubed times b cubed, and that is squared. Let's go ahead and replace the variables with the values that we know of. We know a is 1, so that would be 1 cubed, times b, which is 2 cubed, that is squared. Look at your exponents. We see that we have a power to power, so we are going to multiply those exponents. 2 times 3 and 2 times 3. So we would get 1 to the 6th times 2 to the 6th. 1 to the 6th evaluated is 1. 2 to the 6th is 64. 1 times 64 is 64. Alright, let's complete the statement by indicating whether powers are greater than or less than. So we're going to use greater than or less than to compare two powers. Alright, so let's say we have 6 to the third times 6 to the fourth. Is that greater than or less than or greater than 6 to the 12th? Let's go ahead and first simplify my powers in my first set of parentheses. Okay, x bases are the same. My base to each is 6. When we're multiplying and our bases are the same, we add the exponent. So we have 6 to the 7th. Compare that to 6 to the 12th. My bases are the same, and 7 is less than 12, so we know 6 to the 7th is going to be less than 6 to the 12th. Okay, let's do another one. Let's say we have 4 squared times 4 to the 10th. Is that going to be less than or greater than 4 to the 8th? Look at your powers. Each here has a base of 4. We are multiplying, so let's go ahead and add those exponents. Simplified, we would get 4 to the 12th. We're going to compare that 4 to the 8th. My bases are the same, so we can compare the exponents. 12 is greater than 8, so 4 to the 12th is going to be greater than 4 to the 8th. Next, evaluate expressions. Okay. If possible, write your answer as a fraction in simplest form. Alright, so let's go ahead and take 4 times 4 to the negative 4th. So now we're looking at negative exponents. Remember when we discussed in class, if we have negative exponents, then we need to use the reciprocal of the base. So 4 is actually 4 over 1. So we're going to do 4 times 1/4. The exponent stays with the 4, so we get 1 over 4 to the 4th. Okay, quickly to review multiplying fractions, this would be 4 over 1 times 1 over 4 to the 4th. Multiply straight across, numerator and denominator. 4 times 1 is 4, and then 1 times 4 to the 4th would be 4 to the 4th. Alright, we can go ahead and simplify this numerous ways. We can go ahead and use our properties of exponents and subtract. Remember, my exponent to my 4 is 1. Since my bases are the same, we would go ahead and subtract these exponents. And that would give me 4. 1 minus 4 is a negative 3. We got a negative exponent again. This is the same as 4 over 1. Flip it again. So you would get 1 over 4 cubed, which is equal to 1 over 64. Alright, so now let's go back to 4 over 4 to the 4th, and let's go ahead and simplify in another way. What we can do is go ahead and evaluate 4 to the 4th, and when we do that, we find out that that's 256. So we get 4 over 256. You need to simplify the fraction. 4 goes into 4 one time. 4 goes into 256 64 times. So in the end, you see, we get the same result. Alright, let's go ahead and continue to evaluate. Let's go ahead and have a fraction this time. Let's say we have 1/5 to the negative 2. Okay, right away you should notice that negative exponent. So we are going to go ahead and simplify by flipping the fraction and changing the sign of the exponent. So 1/5 raised to the negative 2 is equal to 5 squared. 5 squared evaluated is 25. Alright, next, let's rewrite expressions so that all of our exponents are positive. We do not want any negative exponents. Alright, so let's say we have x to the negative third y squared. Now, I taught you a little trick in class that when we see that negative exponent and we have a fraction, because we can put any number into fraction form, we are going to throw it to the bottom. So y squared would stay on top, x to the negative third gets thrown in the bottom, keeping the exponent but changing the sign. Alright, so my simplified answer would be y squared over x cubed. Alright, let's try another one. Let's try 1 over 2 times x to the negative 2, y to the negative 3. Now, if you notice, we have some negative exponents. They are in the bottom of my fraction, in the denominator. So what we're going to do is we're just going to throw them on top. So what we would have on top would be 1 times x squared times y cubed. 2 stays on the bottom. Okay, he does not get to move. Alright, we do not need the 1 in the numerator, so we would get x squared times y cubed over 2. Alright, this concludes part 1 of your Chapter 8 review. Please look for part 2.